หาจุฬาลงกรณราชวิทยาลัย University in the next I am representative of Vipassana instruction. I would like to invite Venerable พระอาจารย์สุชนสุชโน to have a Dhamma talk. Thank you very much.
Namato Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sankhara. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. And most venerable Pratep Visuddhi Muni, director of Vipassana Institute, and Pramahariton Lechanti, and director of Planning and Development of Vipassana Tura Institute, and most venerable monks, Mahasangha, and all the participants. So this is a good morning from Scotland and a good afternoon in Thailand. So today is the 6th day, and I believe that you have gained significant amount of information about how to practice meditation, and then also progress in the practice of meditation. If you are on a retreat, particularly if you are like practicing in a retreat center, day 6 would be, in a way, it's like a climax of a practice. You have overcome all the hindrances, you have overcome all the disturbances and obstacles, and then it's about gaining a calmness and gaining easier to practice meditation, get more understanding about how to pay attention to the object, and even when you are walking, it's become so easier. But I presume this is not the case. We are at home and practicing, and it's very easy to lose our enthusiasm, our faith, and our energy, our concentration, and obviously mindfulness. It's very easy to be distracted. Generally, we want to be happy by living alone. We want to be alone. But mentally, we are not. We always think to have somebody. We want to talk to someone. We need some company. That's why we are known as human beings. Human beings are a being when there is another person. That's why he or she is a human being. That's why human beings are social beings. And when we practice meditation, we have to stay alone. That's why Buddha said in so many discourses, Aranyagato wa rukkamulagato wa sunyakaragato wa. Going to the forest, going to under the tree, going to the empty huts. And that is basically you are leaving all the duties and responsibilities behind, and you're walking on the path. In a way, we are very lucky here in our center in Scotland. We are away from the village. We are away from the civilization. It is helping us to be safe in a way during this COVID-19. We do not feel that there is a COVID-19 at all, and we do not have to quarantine at all. We have a big land with the trees, and we can walk around, no people at all. And yet it's very secluded, very peaceful, and very few people come. And with that, it helps us to gain more concentration. And if you're noticing my previous talks that I've been giving, I've been trying to encourage you to develop more faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha and teacher and your practice, particularly in your practice. And day 6 is a day that you have gained significant amount of faith and confidence in your practice, and as well as in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And energy is become more stable. That's why even the Buddha said in the Indriya Samyukta in Samyukta Nikaya that when he said that when someone who has developed the faith and the confidence, the faculties of a faith and a confidence, the energies, sati, concentration and wisdom, basically that means you are walking the path to liberate yourself. And further on, the Buddha said in the Indriya Samyukta too, that just as the footprint of all the living beings that walk on feet, that walk fits into the elephant's footprint, so does that among the steps that lead to the enlightenment, the faculty of wisdom is declared to be the chief, and that is for the attainment of a nibbana. So that's why the practice, the more we practice these faculties, some faculties will develop more and more. And further on, we have to develop the wisdom part. Wisdom is the key to the enlightenment. And that's why I was talking about the sampajanya, that how much sampajanya do we need. Now, as you're practicing, you're sitting, meditating, paying attention to the incoming breath, outgoing breath, rising, falling, we have to know it exactly. We have to understand in its entirety as it is happening, and your mind is not wobbled, your mind is not shaken, not distracted. There is a undivided attention is applied, and your mind is very fully alert. And this alertness, because you have developed the confidence in your practice, that as you pay attention to the rising and falling of abdomen, there is no chance any other taints will come or any other distractions will come and take it away. Yeah? You have a great faith in, and you're putting a lot of energy, sufficient energy to be mindful of your rising and falling. Whenever the secondary objects arise, you can notice and you can pay attention to it and observing, acknowledging, noting, and let it go. Yeah? And with that, you have gained the concentration and you have gained the wisdom. So because there's alertness at all the time. And with that, you're clearly knowing anything that's happening there at the moment. Anything what's happening during that moment, there is no confusion. So there is a clear consciousness of the object that has arisen. And that is the main factor of arising of wisdom. That's why I call it bhavana me panya. Panya that arose from your own experience. We can hear a lot of talk, we can hear a lot of instructions, and we can read a lot of books, but that's not the true knowledge yet. Like when we meditate, we realize that on this retreat, we are asked to pay attention to the rising and falling of abdomen. And pretty much, I believe that there are so many other members, participants who've been practicing Buddho, practicing Anapanasati, practicing Samma Arahang, and Lupnam, like that. So you've been practicing that, but whereas here you are requested to pay attention to the rising and falling of the abdomen. At that time, what happens when you practice, when you are paying attention to the rising and falling of abdomen, immediately, because of your perception that you've been practicing with other techniques, within a one or two times of paying attention to the rising and falling of abdomen, it simply goes back to your previous perception, yeah, previous technique that you've been practicing. That's why if you notice my very first talk, I mentioned that give away your perception of any techniques that you've been practicing. Forget about all the techniques that you have learned and talk to your body. Feel the body. Huh? Feel the body and the mind, how it is there. And then with that, observing the entire body, kaya anupassana, observing entire body. And rather than thinking, rather than using our perception, feeling the entire body from your heart. When you feel, and this entire body has some form of a movement or some form of a sensations going on, and that is due to the breathing in and breathing out. And here, the Buddha didn't say that you have to pay attention to the nose, you have to pay attention to the abdomen, but this is, you will be realizing which one is best, which one is conducive, easy to pay attention to. And that's how you will be finding that which object is the primary object that is helpful for you. And I also gave you a statistic that throughout my time teaching here in Scotland, in the center and outside of the center, and probably about thousands of people have came and practiced with me here. Majority of them said that the rising and falling of abdomen is much easier to feel it because they are fresher. They never practiced meditation before. And I ask them to feel the entire body and then observe what's going on, which one is the prominent and which one is easy and comfortable and visible, empirical, easy to pay attention to. And majority of them said that the rising and falling of abdomen is the easiest way. And this is not from what they have learned. So that's why I ask you all to use similar technique rather than bringing your perception of sanya that I have been practicing this and that. Use it. Use your own body and mind to communicate and finding out. And that is the breath related object becomes the object of a meditation. And that's why rising and falling of abdomen is one of the a good object that we are paying attention to it. And again, it is not just like rising, falling. Yeah, it is not just like, oh, it is rising, it is falling, and then when a thought arises, oh, I am going to the thought and then observing, acknowledging, noting, let it go and come back. Not only that. My last talk, I also mentioned that as you feel from entirety, you're paying attention to it completely, you will realize that this rising and falling of abdomen is actually, there are so many different ways of arising, different way of a falling. And then when it rises, the entire body inflates, entire body deflates. It connects to the entire body, like in Anapanasati, the Sabbakaya Patisamvedi. Yeah? So as you breathe in, you will be able to experience the entire body. Same when you are paying attention to this rising and falling of abdomen, what happens? You will be able to see the entire body breathe, rising and falling. When you're able to pay attention to this rising and falling in this way, what happens is that you will gain such a happiness. And this happiness is born because your mind is fully concentrated on the primary object, the object. So that's how there is a clear awareness. You're consciously aware of that at all the time, right? Much of the time. And with that, it is the samadhi gains. The mind becomes calm, tranquil, and so light, so bright. And with that, you will gain the sukha, happiness. And when you observe that sukha, the happiness. What happened? You will get the pity, joy. Oh, what a blissful moment I am having. Sorry. And this is a blissful moment you're gaining from your practice. So that's why what happened. This moment of changing the as I'm paying attention to this and this goes back is basically we are bringing our perception and we are practicing with our perception of this is what I have been used to, this is what I have been practicing, and this new technique is not what I want to do. This new technique is not what I think is the right. So those all the doubts begins to come. Whereas now, if you're diligently practicing by now, day 6, these old doubts, confusions must have gone. Yeah? Must have gone, and you have a clear awareness of this rising and falling, and the entire process, how it functions, and entire process, how it happening. And with that, you will gain the a calmness and wisdom. And this wisdom is basically very simple. Actually, practice of a meditation is very simple. Do you believe me? It's very simple. Do you agree with me? Because practice of a meditation, you don't have to do anything. First thing. First thing, you don't have to do anything. What you have to do, all what you have to do is to be aware. That's all. And why it is so difficult? We can't even stop doing things when we meditate. We want to meditate, and then as soon as we meditate, we want to do something. As soon as we meditate, close our eyes, we see all the jobs, all the works. Oh, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, I need to do this, I have to talk to that person, I haven't talked. Goes so many things. And then after you're thinking too much, what happened? Oh, I'm supposed to be meditating. So practice of meditation is very easy. All what you need, be aware that what I am thinking. And you have to do nothing. But as a human being, we've been accustomed. We have been very used to the doing. Our behavior is such that we've been using it in that way. And it's very difficult to meditate. And very moment when you are asked not to do, then suddenly panic attack begins. Oh, then what I'm going to do? Before COVID-19, people were complaining that, oh, I don't have time to spend my time with my friends. I don't have time to spend with my family. I have not enough time to do my jobs. And after COVID, what happened? You're asked to stay at home. And when you're staying at home, you think of a job. You think of going away from the house. You want to go away. We want to do things. And then that's the same thing. That's why in the practice of a meditation, all what you need to do is to be aware, mindful of it. And when you're mindful that I am aware of these things, what do? Watch it. And mentally, consciously make a mental note that I am having it and observing as you're noting it and see it very clearly. See it very clearly. And if you remember, I mentioned the stop. The Luang Por Sot used the word stop to arrive at the spiritual destination. I use that stop as an acronym. S for seeing things truly. Seeing as they truly are. S. Whatever is happening, whatever is coming, whatever is arising while you are meditating, seeing it clearly. That's the first one. What is the spelling for stop? That is S-T-O-P. Now remember, S is seeing clearly whatever is happening, whatever is arising. Every alambanas, you are seeing it clearly. T. We are not in a competition to win any race. So T, take your time. Yeah, patiently take your time to look at it, watch it, observing it. Take your time to observe. We don't need to do anything. We are not rushing to arrive anywhere. Yeah? So we take your time. We take our time to look at and observe that object. Oh, observing it objectively. Yeah? Like you are sitting at the bank of the river, watching the river flow. Observing this is objectively. When you're subjectively looking at it, you will be taking it as, oh, this is mine. I want it. And I don't like it like that. That's a Trishna. Yeah, Tanha. Yeah? So not like that. We are watching it objectively. O for objectively observing it. Yeah, or observe objectively. P, patiently observing it. And then you will gain peaceful state. And that is a stop. So every object that you pay attention to, whether it is rising, falling, and when you are paying attention to the rising and falling, and then other objects arises, and that moment again, you're able to use this STOP acronym. See it clearly, yeah? Take your time, no rush, observing it objectively, and patiently watching it so that you will get the peaceful mind. Yeah? And the reason behind why we have to have this peaceful mind and why we have to know how to stop, because our mind is always tangled with things. If you remember in Samyukta Nikaya, once the Devata, the celestial being, came and asked the Buddha, and even the Bharadwaja Brahman came to spoke with the Buddha as well, saying, Anto jata bahijata, jataya jatita paja, tam tam Gautama puchama, ko imang vichataye jata. Yeah? So that was the spoken by the Devata as well as Bharadwaja. This is the question put forward to the Buddha. Anto jata bahijata. So we are tangled in this world of Tanha, Trishna, tangle in and tangle out. Anto jata bahijata. Jataya jatita paja. We people are always like to be tangled in different things. We people want to have something to do at all the time, and this is desire. And then there's a further ask. Tam tam Gautama pucham. I want to ask Venerable Lord Buddha Gautama, who can untangle this tangle? So this is the question put forward to him. And a jata is a matted hair that you may have seen. Lucy, yeah, Lucy in India, they have a long hair and uncombed, yeah, and it's so zigzag and it's a matted hair. It's very tangled. You can't untangle it. It's very difficult to untangle. So that was put forward. And then you may have heard of Visuddhimagga, yeah, path of purification. And there, Buddha replied, but actually it is in the Samyukta Nikaya as well, but the Visuddhimagga, the Buddha Gosa, elaborated only from one single verse. Say, Sile patithaya narosapanyo, chittang panyan cha bhavayang, atapi nipako bhikkhu, so imang vichitaye jata. So that was spoken by the Buddha to the Devata and Bharadwaja, saying that when a wise man establishes in the virtue, develops the consciousness and understanding, then that person will be able to overcome this tangle. And so that is the reason why we are here practicing meditation, learning meditation, to untangle the entire tangleness that is causing us to be reborn in this samsara again and again. And you may have understood that This Visuddhimagga, probably the first dissertation in the world that Buddhaghosa has written. It's so profound and so detailed. And this is like the panya is like having a good farmer is having a good knife so that he can cut the grass properly without any trouble. And this is the way that first of all we have to stop doing any bad things. Stopping. And in order to be stopped by doing any bad things, we have to see clearly that any action that I am doing, whether it is wholesome or unwholesome. And we need to observe it. Take your time, and then with that, we are stopping. So that's how you are observing these precepts properly. And precept, that's why become the foundation. And when our precept is purely practiced, our mind automatically comes to conclusion, and have a samadhi, and a panya arises. And then further on, in order to gain the panya, we understand that in a Satipatthana Sutta, Buddha clearly said, Ekayano ayang bhikkhave maggo sattanang visuddhiya soka parideva, so on. And here, basically, it means that this is the path. This is the path leading to what? Purification of the beings, overcoming sorrow and lamentation, disappearance of the painful and the pain and grief, finding the right path and attaining the nibbana, right? And here I would like to elaborate a little bit here that ekayano. Sometimes people translate it as saying that this is the only way. This is the only way. And this is the only path, like that. In fact, if we say this is the only path, then we may, and some people will say that, oh, every religion says that this is the only path. Then what is the difference with the teachings of the Buddha? A Buddha also claiming the same thing. So here we have to understand that the translation should be the path. This is the path leading to the Nibbana only. Okay? Or this is a direct path to the liberation. Not this is the only. But basically, this is, we have to see in this way that Eka means one, Ayana means going, Maggo means the path or the way. So when whoever walks on this path will go to the Nibbana. And that is the translation we should adopt. And with that, there is no problem. Doesn't matter which religion you are believing. Doesn't matter whether you are Christian, whether you are Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, or even the Buddhist. If you learn to walk on this path, eventually you will arrive that destination. It's like if you have taken a train from Holompong, going to Chiang Mai. Once you are on the train, eventually you will arrive Holompong. The Chiang Mai, doesn't matter who sits on that train. So this is like a train. It's the only path that this path leads to. The path leads to the enlightenment. Right? And what is the way? The way is the Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, and Dhammanupassana. So these are again foundation. These are again foundation. If you remember, I was saying that Vipassana is not what we do, but being. And Vipassana simply unveils when we walk on this path by observing the body, feeling, and mind. And the Dhamma unveils itself. So as a satipatthana, sati means mindfulness, patthana or upathana means arising. So a place where we where the mindfulness arises is the body, feeling, mind, and the phenomenon. That's why when we are practicing, we are not thinking of any other things apart from aware of our body, aware of our mind. That's all. Aware of our mind, aware of our body. That's all. Nothing more than that. So when suppose you are practicing meditation, you are meditating, paying attention to the incoming breath and outgoing breath, rising, falling. This is one form of a bodily contemplation. This is kaye kayanupassi. So this is a one small kaya in the big kaya. So paying attention to the small kaya as a form of developing awareness of it. And in order to feel this body doesn't feel, right? We agree with that. This body doesn't feel. It's just made of a lump of meat. Uh, this body is made out of a big meat. You can move from one place to another in my will, yeah, in your wish, in your chetana, and you're moving from one place to the another place. It doesn't feel. So how do we know that our body is present here? We understand by feeling that, oh, this body, I feel like this and like that. And then who is going to feel? The mind, who is recognizing those feelings. So in order to understand this mind, we have to understand the body, we have to understand the feelings, and only then we will understand the mind. Because body is a base where we can feel our feelings. If there is no body, you won't be feeling. Do you think there will be feeling without a body? There won't be a feeling. Yeah? And if there is no feeling, you can't see your mind. There is no mind. So you can see your mind the moment when you see feelings. And when you see your feelings, the moment you realize that, oh, it has something, the body there. So practice of a meditation, that's why the body exists already. Mind is there as a consciousness. A feeling is always happening in the present moment. Yeah? Feeling is always in the present moment. Feeling never been in the past, never been in the future. Feeling arises only in the moment here and now. Rising, falling. How do you see that? When you feel it, rising, falling. Yeah, when you see the feeling of rising, falling, feeling it. So we are always holding on to the other stories and emotions and things. That's basically because we are clinging onto that feeling. We are holding on to that feeling. And we think that this feeling is there in the present moment at all the time. In fact, it's already gone. It's a past. But feeling happens here. So the moment when you know feeling properly, that moment you are walking on a path to the enlightenment. How do we know that? How do we understand the Four Noble Truths? It's very difficult. But the moment when you observe your feelings as they truly are, and that moment you see, you understand that feeling is always changing. It's always on the move. Never been one long time. So that's why Buddha used the simile in Venupama Sutta, saying that feeling is like a bubble created by the rainwater. As the rainwater falls on the surface of the water, it creates the bubble. And this bubble won't last long. It creates and evaporates. It's gone, disappears. Our feeling also, every moment it arises and vanishes. Every moment it arises and vanishes so fast But what happens is that we take on board that this feeling is mine, this feeling belongs to me, and this feeling I want to keep it. And that's how we do not understand the feeling. The moment when we don't understand feeling, that's avidya, and then what happens? We create, we work. Oh, we go on to the speaking of I like it, or doing it, I dislike it, so called. That's why in Patita Samuppada it is known as Sankhara. You're making sankharas because you don't understand the feeling as impermanent. We haven't got the vidya, the right understanding of the feeling. And when we don't have a right understanding of a feeling, this anicchang, we take it nityang. This impermanent of vedana, this feeling, we take it as a permanent. And that's how we go into making it to emotions. So that's why from feeling, it becomes emotions. And then that emotion, again, become more developed into maturity because we grasp on it and we have an attachment to upadana advisors. Right? So, and that's how the entire, the Four Noble Truth becomes the relevant here. The very moment when we understand the feeling, so that's a right understanding, right? What is the right understanding of the feeling? Right understanding of a feeling is that the feeling is just temporarily arises and vanishes away. It arises and vanishes. Arises and vanishes. That is the right understanding. The moment when you have a right understanding, that means we are walking on a path to the liberation. That's how you will see the path, the Eightfold Noble Path in your practice. Not by reading, not by listening, but from your own experience. The Eightfold Noble Path becomes the path towards the liberation, towards finding the enlightenment. So that's why this feeling happens here in the moment. And this feeling is the main key between the worldly matter and then the mind, the spiritual matter. We will be able to see our mind even more greater, that how much greed, hatred, and delusion I have whenever these sensations arises. The moment when the sensation arises, how much greedy mind I am having, or lustful mind I'm having, how much dosa, the hatred is there, anger is there, and how much delusion I am having there. So that's why the root cause of all the troubles, Buddha said that the tanha and avidya. Yeah? Tanha and avidya is the root of all the troubles. And this tanha and avidya arises where? It arises because this arises in our mind. And how does it arise? Because there is a sensation, there is a feeling, the vedana. So that's why when we know the present moment, and this present moment is this sensation, the feeling, the vedana is always the present moment. Nothing is present moment. This vedana is the present moment. You're aware of that vedana. When you're rising and falling, that's a first vedana. It's happening there. And then the moment when you're observing this rising and falling, the thought comes, pain arises, and that's again this present moment. The feelings arises. Mano sanchetanas is these. The moment when it arises, mind will simply go into it and then grasp and develops more. And that's how it is known as also the ahara, or the food for the mind. Mano sanchetana ahara. You're feeding it. And there is a story in Indians saying that one small boy, out of a curiosity, wanted to know that actually his leader wanted to teach this boy and ask, we have a two wolf, black wolf and a white wolf. Which wolf will win? Yeah? And then this a leader said, the wolf that you feed. Our mind is like that too. Our mind always, in general, have two sides of a mind. One is good, one is bad. Yeah? One is good and one is bad. And I would like to ask you, between good and a bad mental state, from the moment when you wake up until now, which mind do you think is prominent? Which mind do you think is there at all the time? And a majority, most of the time, we dislike this negative mind, and yet we are always thinking about it. And that's how we become stressed. We are in trouble. We have depression because we dislike it, and yet still we are having it. It's like having a bath with the dirty water. It is English proverb saying having a bath with the dirty water. That basically means you are with this dirt and you want to be clean by cleaning, having a bath, but it won't. So all what you have to do is to withdraw yourself, coming out from it, and then you you will be able to clean yourself. Okay? So that's why the practice of a meditation, the four foundations of a mindfulness, which is paying attention to the body, feeling, and our mind, is basically in the present moment. This is happening here. And the more we practice, what will happen? We will be able to comprehend it very completely, clearly seeing it. And in order to see that, in Satipatthana, Buddha said that we have to use ardent, atapi. So we have to put full effort, undivided attention there. And with that, we will gain more concentration and aware of things, aware of the natural phenomenon. And eventually, if we are practicing properly in accordance with the four satipatthana, we will be able to attain the liberation, if not in this life. And again, as Ajahn T said, tomorrow will be the 7th day. If you're practicing properly, you should have attained at least of a sotapanna. So hope that after tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, I'm coming back to speak with you all again, and I hope that every one of you attain the sotapanna. And so I don't have to teach. I will be listener instead. Okay. In terms of the practicality, the practice of vipassana meditation is like I call it a dance with the wind. I call it a dance with the wind. When the wind comes from the east, it will bend to the west. The tree will bend to the west. 3 branches will bend to the west. So when it coming from one direction, it bends to another direction without resisting. The moment when the tree resists to the wind, the wind will break. Wind will break the tree away. And so practice of a meditation or mindfulness meditation is basically you being a tree and a wind being the worldly distractions. It will come. But rather than you are resisting it and rather than absorbing it, you simply let go. And you're dancing with the world. Rather than taking on board, you're simply dancing. And that's how I also use the simile of Kung Fu masters. So Kung Fu is basically the self-defense mechanism, self-defense skill. And in the self-defense skill, again, you are learning how to move around and keeping yourself safe from the opponent. From the opponent. You have no intention to harm that person, but you're simply putting yourself in a safe space. And meanwhile, you are using all the tools and skills as you move around. So that's why, although you are not fighting with anybody, you're constantly practicing these techniques so that the moment when you are on the moment of needed to fight or the competition, you will be able to move around, use all the skills. So practice of a meditation is like that too. These are all the tools that we are simply making it easier to use it. And eventually we will be able to use in our day-to-day life. And that's how the Dhamma becomes relevant in our life. And we will be able to live happily in this world and in this life. Okay? So with this, I end here for tonight's talk. And I will leave some times for the question and answer. I think we will have about maybe 30 minutes, or I'm not sure. Last time we had about 40 minutes. So anybody, if anyone has got any questions and any concerns, you can ask me. So with this, may you all be well and happy. May you all success in your practice, and whatever good wishes you have, may it come true. So it's a question and answer time. Floor is yours.
Yom ให้ถามพระอาจารย์แล้วนะถามภาษาไทยก็ได้โยมจิรเมธ อาจารย์ท่านพูดภาษาไทยได้อยู่นะ
ได้นิดหน่อยครับ
ใครมีคำถามอะไรก็ถามเลยไทยบวกอังกฤษโยม โยมพี่วรพันธ์วรพิน เดี๋ยวอาตมาเปิดไมค์ก่อนนะเปิดแล้วจ้ะ
unmute ก่อนนะใครถามต้อง unmute ก่อน
Yeah.
เปิดไมค์ให้แล้ว
I share with you. May I share with you of the what you just mentioned, that why people are so difficult to not think, to have difficulties in meditation, because people think all the ways. Is that because we see the value of doing the work? We see ourselves as doing the work, creating something, not for ourselves, but maybe for the family, for the society. And that's why we have to think and to do acting. So when we have to stop doing things, stop thinking things, it's a very challenge. It's not our pattern of life.
Yes, you are right. Because we think a doing is something is a doing, and we want to have instant result of a doing. That's why physically doing things, you can see the instant results. But when you are practicing, although the words say not to do anything, you're doing a lot. Actually, you're doing more than you're not doing. So when you're meditating, you're doing a lot. That's why sometimes when you meditate, you will sweaty. You will have a sweat. Your whole cloth becomes wet because you're working so hard.
Conflicting in ourselves first.
Yeah. But eventually, when we learn to know, understand it, the whole world, what we are doing, physically doing things, we think that is your doing. Eventually, you have to leave behind. Nothing is coming with you. About what you are doing inside, that is coming to you. That is going with you. That's a Sankhara. In Thai language called sandan. Actually, the word sandan is a very good word, but misused. That means we are taking things with us. I'll just send information about my center here in Aberdeen if anybody wants to know on the chat. So information. Right. So yeah, although we are not doing a lot in a meditation.
So my the learning from me is to be moderately practice. That is to balance myself with the meditation and my work. That's a learning that I would take for my daily life.
Yeah. Okay. So practice of the meditation is a way to be more happier and help us to work happily whatever we are doing. If we are not happy with what we are doing, we are forced to do, we are a slave of that job that we are doing, rather than we are the boss of the work that we are doing. Yeah? So when we do mindfully, we are the boss. They say, work like a boss.
Good.
Okay.
Ajahn, yeah, can an ordinary person be enlightened without being a monk?
Certainly, why not?
Certainly, it's not easy. You said meditation is easy, right? But for you, being a monk is part of your life.
When we look at the scripture, there are so many people become enlightened, not because of a monk or not because of being a nun, and they lived as a lay people too. Yeah. And we think it's because it's difficult because nowadays there are so many stimuli in the world and easy to be distracted. As a result of that, it's very easy to fall into that trap and not able to meditate. That's why I call today. I bring this Gata, Anto Jata Bahijata. Yeah? We are tangled in and tangled out, and it's very difficult to overcome. Yeah? So all what we can do is to practice, diligently practicing, and whenever we have a time and a chance, practicing meditation. Suppose you are waiting for the bus, practice. Suppose you are waiting to pay your bills in the storeroom, practice. And suppose you are drinking the water, tea, coffee, practice. Eating, practice. Walking towards the toilet, practice. Mindful of your walk. So taking every opportunity to be mindful of that. People normally ask me, being a monk, you have more time. And then my response is, I am being the abbot here in the temple. See, Sakanti also working every day in the Mahachula, in the temple, and teaching and organizing this. He's always busy. We are not free. Like we are, I am as an abbot here in Aberdeen in the West. We don't have much support. We don't have a Buddhist here much supporting. So I am teaching early morning, almost every day 6 o'clock. I am giving up. I stopped this this 10 days of teaching 6 o'clock because I wanted to concentrate on this retreat. You are having it. So. And then after 6 o'clock, 1 hour meditation, and so 1 hour teaching, I will have 1 hour chanting, and then 1 hour sitting. And meanwhile, after that, I am teaching so many places. And actually, a day passes without knowing that it's already gone. Only difference is we work, there is no pay. You work, there is a payment.
All right. Okay. And so one more question. Like under the current, the pandemic, what sort of Buddha teaching can we comfort other people? People are so stressful at the moment. Yeah. Especially with economic point of view.
So number one, follow the government's guidance. That's the first thing. Follow the government's guidance is like social distance, wearing the masks, and if not necessary, do not go away and do not mingle with anybody else. That's the first thing. And the second is practice 5 precepts. Okay, second. And practicing 5 precepts helps, particularly precept number 5. Because when you are sitting alone, you're thinking too much, and it's very easy that you will go and drink. And when you drink, everything messed up. Everything messed up. And this time, in Thai language, it's called chiam nứa chiam tua. So nothing you can do. The whole world is in the crisis.
Yes.
Whole world, not just you, not just the one country, whole world.
Yes. So we just have to accept it.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is just acceptance and try to save yourself. Everything that you have, try to manage according to what the Buddha said. Yeah, kin nói what's called เก็บให้ระมัดระวังเรื่องการใช้จ่ายระมัดระวังเรื่องการใช้สอย and try to maintain what you have. That's all.
Right.
That's
all
you
we can do.
Yeah.
Yes. That.
And then the last one I would like to express here is the meditation. Meditation is very, very essential in this time. Number one, because you are staying alone. And it's very easy that your mind will play tricks on you. Can be mad very easily. And if you know how to meditate, it helps you to recognize your feelings. When you recognize your feelings, you will be able to recognize your emotions. And that's how you can make peace within yourself. So last year, here in the UK, in Scotland as well, because of the lockdown, domestic violence increased significantly. And that domestic violence increased because they were drinking alcohol, and as well as they do not know how to live with the family for a longer period of a time. Yeah? And as a result, this violence began. And with the practice of a meditation, help them to recognize it. Recognize their emotions, their feelings. When you recognize your feelings, your emotions, what happens? You will be able to channel that feelings to others. You will recognize, oh, they're also going through this. That's why they are having this madness. They are going through this madness. So you will recognize that because you have recognized yourself, and then you recognize others. You will be able to accept they are also going through this trouble. And you will be able to let them practice meditation. Okay, take it easy. Not just you. Take a long breath. Okay, watch your mind. And this is the very important practice. That's why meditation helps. And here there are so many people attending my sessions, that I am organizing every week. They all appreciate the meditation. There are so many they never done before, but because of the pandemic, they came, and some of them even referred by the doctors, came and practiced, and they have gained a lot of benefit out of it. Like yesterday, there was one family. After a year and a half of a lockdown, they never met each other. And now, in just 2 days, in Scotland, released from tier 4 to tier 3. Okay, we were not able to cross the border, even the cities. We can't cross the city before, and now we can cross the cities. So with that, just 2 days, and then the family members came to see her, and it was so overwhelming. But you are not allowed to touch. You are not allowed to give a hug. You can't hug each other. You can't touch each other.
Is it the law? Is the law?
It's a law.
It's the law. Okay.
It's a law. Okay, because if you are hugging, you are passing the germs, passing the virus. So that's why you have to maintain this 2 meters distance. So you can't hug. And then after they left, she felt so depressed, so unhappy. And then she texted me saying, meditation helped me. Yeah? So like, that's why meditation is so important this time. Not only for this, for ourselves, but also you will be able to help others to recognize whether it is emotionally, whether it is family crisis, whether it is economical crisis. You will be able to recognize that everybody is having.
Right. Okay. ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello นมัสการค่ะ Yes, and I ask you something. Yesterday I have the experience for the driving, and I will practice about the brake no, driving no, and so I cannot do well, and I lost the way because I present about the culling brake. Yes, I lost the way, and so. If I do that, I can see about the I in my is focus about the where I going, and I see about the my body is very is automatic to put about the brake or put about the culling. You understand about the culling? I didn't know about the culling how to say in English.
Acceleration.
Culling is you put the car is fast like that the brake is stop, right? Okay, and okay, I have the experience like that. I lost. I can do that. Theกำหนด every time when I driving, and how you teach about the practice that, and if I see about the body automatic, I see that very automatic. My head is not thinking about the brake or the culling. No, it's not thinking that my body is very automatic. Yeah, I see like that.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes, my life.
Okay. So you're practicing meditation
Yes.
in a wrong place.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that maybe it can be that I will try that. But in the last time I do that, but it's not the กำหนด. It's not กำหนด. I can do that. But if the กำหนด, I cannot do that when I driving. Yeah.
So it's like you are teaching a caterpillar to walk with 2 legs rather than hundreds of legs.
Yes. I think so.
So practice of a meditation when you are driving, you are simply aware of your movements. You're simply aware of your movements, and you don't need to kamnot. You're just aware as it happens. That's why practice of a mindfulness meditation is to be natural, not a different. To be a naturalist. To a naturalist. Dhammachat. Practice of meditation making you to be a dhammachat and dhammada, not a special and different and viso-visang. No. Practice of a meditation making you be a normal. So in a simile of the driving a car, first of all, when you don't know how to drive, you will be aware of everything that you are doing. You will be aware of your hands in a gear. You will be aware of how to put the accelerator and how to put the brake on and how to look at the mirrors. So you are very conscious while you are learning. Okay, and after that, after you have learned it, and gradually you become familiar with it, and you don't need to think of it. Whenever situation comes, you immediately able to function yourself, change the gear, change the accelerator, brake, look at the mirrors, everything becomes automatic. Why?
Yes,
because why? Because you have learned it, you have used to with it. And then practice of a meditation is like that too. When we are training, we have to learn everything one after another, bit by bit, until we become very familiar. We become skilled, and after that, all these kamnot, all these methods will just no need. We become automatically mindful. Okay, automatically mindful in the practice, and we will become a dhammada, not a special. And with that, what happens further on now? So this is the one stage past. You become familiar with it, and now everything becomes automatic. When everything becomes automatic, it's very easy to fall into the pramad. As pramad.
Yes.
And fall into the pramad. So that's at that moment you need a sati, mindfulness, being mindful that I am driving a car. That's all. You have a set your destination where you're going to, and you know how you're going to. That's it. And you are enjoying your drive rather than thinking of any other things. And when you are steering, you're holding the steer, you're mindful how smooth and how hard when you are pressing the gear, changing the gear, you become mindful rather than letting it do automatically. You're doing it on purpose, mindfully. So paying attention to every details that you are doing. So you're practicing, your intention was good when you're driving to be mindful, but haven't. So that's why you are you're teaching a caterpillar to walk on 2 feet rather than 100 feet. So the most important is to be aware. Okay. And there is I remember when I was in a master's degree in Mahachula, and one of the teachers told us a story. There was one lady who was very good at meditation, and one day he asked her to come with him on a car, and she was meditating right, left, right, left. Master is already in the car. She is still practicing right, left, and master told her, you have to change your perception. Use wisely, like that. And the same way, when you're crossing the road, you have to be mindful of both sides. You're not walking right, left, no, you will be crossed to death. So you need to work faster. Mindfulness meditation help you to function properly in the right time, right place, in the right way. And with that, you are keeping safe yourself. That's why I use the simile today, the Kung Fu. When you know how to practice the Kung Fu, you know the techniques of Kung Fu. Doesn't matter, opponents is hitting you whichever ways, how hard, you will be able to skip as fast as possible, or sometimes even using their energy to deflect themselves. So that is a mindfulness meditation. The Vipassana meditation is like that. You're not making yourself difference, but being Dhammada. Okay?
Yes, and yes, and I know that's what you mean. And so then I thinking, and I will try the practice of the samadhi is as same as the driving. It's like automatic. I can do that. I think it's because the driving I doing is 20 years, more than 20 years, right? And so I think if the practice the same the driving, I think is can be that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And when I sharing that, and I think I can doing about the samadhi, not same driving.
Good.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
Having awareness of what you do is the important key.
Yeah. I think it's not good for the samadhi กับกำหนด when I driving. I don't think so that it's not do that again. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. There is one question on the chat saying, how can we keep effort constantly to practice meditation? There are a lot of worldly distractions in daily life. Or what Achan's tip? How can you put your mind in strong good faith? Distraction is always there. We can't change. Okay? I will tell you a story. When Achan Cha was in London, he was asked a similar question. He was asked the question, and he answered, is that a sound disturbing you, or you disturb the sound? So that's the simple way of getting rid of the distraction. Nothing, so there is a word I normally use. Nothing can disturb you without your permission. Nothing can disturb you without your permission. The moment when you give a permission, then that will distract you. Okay? Same with, I use this same simile, no one can make me angry without my permission. So that's a distraction, is the things that we put our intention or attention, and that's how it's become a distraction. In the initial practice of a meditation, everything becomes distractions apart from object that we like to pay attention to. But in the practice of a vipassana meditation, distractions are not the distractions. They are good friends. So that's why when you are paying attention to the rising and falling of abdomen, whenever sound you hear, whenever pain you feel, whenever thoughts arises, that is a distraction. But in the practice of a vipassana meditation is not called the distraction. It is known as that the secondary object has arisen. Now you're learning to notice that and then come back. When you know that, you are not saying that, oh, I don't like it, I like it. You're simply knowing that, oh, this is there. You observe it, acknowledge it, note, and let go and come back. So that's why in the practice of a meditation, inside meditation, there is no distractions. It's all in our perception. Okay? And then to deal with that, you just simply know that this is happening and aware of that. And in terms of the creating a faith, or having a faith, how can we get the faith in? The first thing is ask yourself, do you have faith in yourself? Ask yourself, do you have faith in your practice? Ask yourself that, do you have faith in the teachings? Okay, and then the faith gradually will develop. First and first, Buddha's teaching is not about having a faith in somebody else, but having a faith within yourself. Atta deepa bhava, attahi attano nato. So these are the basic forms, gaining the confidence within yourself. And that's why I've been referring from the day one that if you are diligently practicing, then this practice becomes faith, because you have fully understood it, you have practiced it properly, and you have a confidence in it. And then that's how you gain the faith. And gradually, you will understand that how great this teaching is, how grateful that the venerable monks are who preserving the teachings and transmitting up to now, and how great the Buddha was who has given such a profound teachings, like that. So it starts from us rather than thinking out there. So whatever distractions out there, do not worry. They are not distraction as long as you are not engaging with them. Okay. Now, ใครมีคำถามอีกหรือเปล่าหรือว่าหลับกันแล้วมั้ง
ไม่หลับค่ะ
ไม่หลับครับเข้าใจดีครับเหลือแต่ว่าตัวเราเองนั่นเองที่ต้องไปทำไปฝึกครับ
ขอบคุณมากค่ะอาจารย์ You have put the last jigsaw on my thesis ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you so much.
Alright, okay. Very good.
Thank you very much ครับอาจารย์
Thank you. อาตมาเพิ่งส่งไฟล์ในแชทให้เรื่องเกี่ยวกับวัดอาตมานะแล้วก็กิจกรรม
Thank you very much เจ้าค่ะเข้าใจแต่ว่าพูดภาษาอังกฤษยังไม่ค่อยเก่งค่ะพอดีสอนแต่ภาษาไทยตอนนี้กำลังเรียนภาษาอังกฤษอยู่ค่ะรอบ2หรือรอบ3นะคะที่ปฏิบัติเดี๋ยวจะ talking
โอเค
ภาษาไทยนะคะ
ถ้ามีคำถามภาษาไทยก็พูดได้อาตมาพูดได้
ใช่ไหมคะ ค่ะกราบนมัสการเจ้าค่ะก็จากการที่ได้ฟังพระอาจารย์มานะคะก็ได้รับความรู้ในด้านภาษาอังกฤษค่ะธรรมะภาษาอังกฤษก็ได้รับประสบการณ์มากมายนะคะก็จะพัฒนาตัวเองแล้วก็จะนำไปเผยแพร่ผู้อื่นแต่ครั้งต่อไปนะคะถ้ามีปฏิบัติธรรมออนไลน์ก็จะสมัครอีกค่ะเพราะว่าจะได้ความรู้ทั้งสองทางคือทั้งภาษาไทยแล้วก็ภาษาอังกฤษแต่รอบนี้ยังไม่พูดภาษาอังกฤษกับพระอาจารย์นะคะตอนนี้กำลังเรียนเพิ่มเติมอยู่ค่ะกราบนมัสการเจ้าค่ะ
อนุโมทนาสาธุท่านอาจารย์ทีจัดอยู่แล้วเลยไม่ต้องห่วง
เจ้าค่ะ
ไม่ให้โยมไปเที่ยวอื่นหรอกนะ
การนมัสการนำเรียนครับในภาษาอังกฤษนี่ทำให้เราตั้งใจในการที่จะเรียนรู้ในทางพุทธศาสนาการทำสมาธิวิปัสสนากับข่าวพูดถึงว่าชาวต่างชาติเงี้ยที่อยากความรู้ความในใจก็เลยมีความตั้งใจที่จะรับฟังแล้วก็ได้ความรู้เยอะเลยครับที่จะเอาไปใช้และปฏิบัติต่อครับการนมัสการนำเรียนครับด้วยความเคารพ
สาธุอนุโมทนาด้วย
May I ask one thing? The last questions about fulfilling.
Okay.
How would your meditation and fulfilling be comprehensive to each other?
Sorry,
fulfilling
life.
Fulfilling life.
Oh.
The meaning might be more than happiness.
There is no more than happiness. There is only happiness.
Is it? But there's a certain level of happiness. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah. It's not how much you have. It's how you look at it. That brings happiness. It's not how what is you have. What value you put it on the happiness. So that's why the happiness is based on individual's perception of that entity or of that life. Some people are very rich, but very miserable. Some people are very poor, but they are very happy dancing on the street. Yeah, but you shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't go and dance. They will think that, oh, you have to go to a hospital. I will tell you one story about this happiness. Yeah. The fulfillment is about our contentment. Our contentment to what we have and what we are. Then happiness is there. In Nepal, when I was young, there was a big house, maybe 4 stories house, and this man had got the 6 big trucks, lorry trucks. And then he transports goods from another city to that city. And every day, all the trucks arrives in his house, in front of his house, around midnight. Full of goods in that. And he couldn't sleep all night. He will be standing by the window looking at all the lorries. And he couldn't sleep. And by that house, there was a beggar who is repairing shoes, living in a tent. He's very happy. He works a whole day. In the evening, he will eat and he will drink and he will go to sleep. And next day, he will wake up and then again work all day and go to eat and drink and sleep. Where is the happiness? He has nothing, yet he has got whole world. He has everything. The man who has got the big house with so many trucks, he has everything, but has nothing. Yeah, so fulfillment is based on how we put the value on things, a contentment. Yeah? Well, if we are talking about the higher happiness, obviously fulfillment is attainment of Nibbana. And if you would like to have that, bless you. You can go first. I will come follow later.
So the nirvana is the destination. Is that right? Nirvana is a destination.
Nirvana is like a Mahachula. You're coming
Okay.
from Kumthep, you're driving to the Mahachula, like that.
Yeah.
Mahachula will not move away. All what you need to do is to walk on the path. Eventually, you will arrive Mahachula. So you don't have to worry about the Mahachula. So Nibbana is like that too. Nibbana is there, and we know that there is a path. All what the instruction is, walk on the path, and you will arrive in Nibbana. You are not supposed to be thinking about the Nibbana. Yeah, you don't have to think. You already know this is there. That's all, and you're walking the path.
Okay.
That's all. Yeah.
And the imagination of nirvana is individual. It's by individual.
You have already said that is imagination, so I don't have to answer.
Okay.
There is no imagination. The reality is a reality. Yeah? So that's why reality is always the reality, whether we imagine or not imagine. The moment when we imagine is our self-perception, and our perception is different based on our education, our experience, our understanding. And again, if I answer through the Buddhist perspective, it's up to your punya and the paramitas, and that's how you can imagine certain things. Right? Okay.
ก็ต้องขออนุโมทนานะกับทุกท่านนะครับตอนนี้ก็จะได้เข้าสู่การปฏิบัติในภาคบ่ายของวันนี้นะซึ่งในช่วงบ่ายก็จะมีการสอบอารมณ์ในเวลา16 นาฬิกานะครับฉะนั้นก็ในนามของสถาบันวิปัสสนาธุระนะครับ on behalf of the Vipassana Dhura instruction by พระเทพวิสุทธิมุนี Director of Vipassana Dhura instruction and I am พระมหาวริธร วรเวที Director of Planning and Training Development Division Vipassana Dhura instruction มหาจุฬาลงกรณราชวิทยาลัย University I would like to say thank you to Venerable พระอาจารย์สุชนสุชโนthank that space the time for give us a lot of knowledge thank you very much
thank you I'll see you day after tomorrow เจอกันวันเสาร์ครับผม
มาเรียนตอนนี้ครับอาจารย์ตอนที่เป็นเจ้าหน้าที่อยู่ก็ไม่เวลาเขามีงานก็ได้พูดเฉพาะภาษาไทยอย่างเพราะพอมาสู่ตำแหน่งตรงนี้ก็หลวงพ่อท่านบอกว่ายังไงก็ต้องขอบคุณอาจารย์ไบรอันกับอาจารย์สุชนให้ได้อ่ะ ก็เลยต้องฝึกอาจารย์เวทีนี้เป็นเวทีแรกเลยครับอาจารย์ครับที่ได้พูดคุย